In the dynamic ad hoc filters example, we are using the Reveal client-side DOM to load dashboards and dynamically add filters to existing dashboards. So for example, if I go to an existing dashboard like this grid, and I want to add a filter for a contact title or a country, I can select the fields, add the filters, and then the filters are added to my dashboard. Selecting a different dashboard like manufacturing, for example, which has a date visualization, I'll go ahead and select date, and maybe we'll add product as well. I'll add the filter. You'll see I have my date filter, my product filter. Now let's change this visualization to something like last 365 days. We can apply this, and if we scroll down, we'll see that this is the last 365 days in this specific chart. Reveal only allows a single date filter on any dashboard. So for example, if I want to take order date, required date, and ship date, I attempt to add the filters. I've added some error handling that says you can only add one date at a time. If I go and just select ship date and add that filter, it will go ahead and add the ship date. This code is up on GitHub in the Reveal DOM Playground org. If we look at the README, you can see that there are some resources here. It describes how the application works. In order to get the dashboard names, I'm using a server API to do that, which is using the Reveal server-side DOM for .NET. And there's some additional instructions here as well. Looking at the code, one important thing to note is that when you're working with the DOM and dates, there's two types of filters. So I'm going to scroll down here, and we've got the load dashboards function, which simply loads the dashboards. We'll scroll down, and we're loading a specific dashboard into the Reveal view, which is fairly standard. For the fields list, I'm getting the fields list from the existing dashboard. And the way that this sample works is I am assuming that all of the visualizations in the dashboard are using the same data source. If you have visualizations with different data sources, you would have to do this a little bit different. You can see here, I'm just grabbing the last visualization, I'm getting the fields list, and then based on the field type, I am adding it to the checked list box on the left-hand side. In the add filters to dashboard, I'm assuming the same thing. I'm getting the last data source item because in order to add a filter, you need a data source item. That's very important. But you'll note here that I have the logic to check for the date filter. So you'll see here we've got selected date fields. I'm looking at the visualizations. I'm enumerating them, determining if they're dates or not. If you try to add additional date filters, the alert pops up. And then continuing to look at this code, this is where we are adding the filter. And the way the DOM works for a date filter is you create an instance of a new date filter. It has some properties like title. There's a rules type enumeration. These map to the fixed dropdown in the datetime filter. So you can have last 365 days, this year, last quarter, etc. You can also do a custom range. We end up adding the filters to the filters collection. I'm binding the filter to the DOM dashboard date filter binding, and then I'm adding it to the visualization. And then if it's not a date filter and we just create a data filter, we're basically doing the same exact thing. You can have as many data filters as you like. It's just one date filter that matters. And that's basically all there is to it. This code is heavily commented, so you can learn from it. And in GitHub, if we go all the way back up to the top, you'll notice that I am using a public Reveal sample server. I am using the Acme Analytics Azure website.net, which also has the API to get the dashboard names. You would swap this out with your own local server. You'll notice because I'm just pulling in the last data source from the existing dashboard, I'm not creating a SQL data source item, a MySQL data source item, a Postgres data source item, etc. I am just grabbing what is available in that specific dashboard and basically using the dashboard as the data source for where I'm going to get my data and what the fields are. If you have any questions on this, please use Discord or GitHub discussions to get help.